Hello there, my friends, and welcome back to my channel for another video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be using some alcohol inks, and we're using a new to me tool. I'm so excited about this tool. We're going to start out doing this like real time. I'm just taking off the caps of my colors so that I can have easy access to them, and putting down some alcohol blending solution all over some poster board. So this isn't glossy paper, it's just some inexpensive poster board, and I'm starting with the color DIJON. The next one in line is Sienna, then we have Rosewood and Everglades. But do you see that black tool right there? That's what we're going to be using, and I'm telling you, it is a game changer. I know some people have talked about how it hurts their hands to use the alcohol inks. Well, I saw this on a channel. It was Tiffany Solario. I think I'm saying her name right. This is the Conair Hot Air 1.5 inch curling brush, and all you do is use this without the brush itself. You don't attach those two. It comes with two different brushes, but you just don't attach them. And it doesn't put out hot air. I have this on low, and I am moving it around. I find that because it also is drying at the same time, it's pushing out a lot of air. It's really important to use the blending solution, or you could use isopropyl alcohol. But I was using blending solution because that's what I had. And it'll give you really good wispy edges once I finally get the hang of it. I'm definitely going to be playing around with this a little bit more, but this is a fantastic solution for those of you that struggle with squeezing those brushes. And you really shouldn't be using a straw because alcohol inks have, fumes to them. So you could potentially be sucking those fumes in. And so this is something that is really, really cool. I'm not sure how it works on, say, the Yupo paper or glossy paper or whatnot, but here on the poster board, I was very impressed. And I will definitely be using this tool quite a bit more. It's inexpensive, and I will have it linked down below if it's something that you're interested in. I think I spent $15 on mine, which I think, especially for a hair tool, that's nothing. And as for a craft room tool, which this is what it's going to be used for, I'm super, super impressed. So yeah, all I did was continually put down some more of that blending solution. If you're not happy with how it looks, you can put more blending solution down and then you can move the color. But look at how that gets kind of wispy there at the edges. And that is one of the cool things about alcohol inks that I really like, is that if you're not happy with how it got put down, just put down some more blending solution or isopropyl alcohol and you can move that color, which is what I'm doing. The colors that I chose are all fall colors, and you'll notice the green even comes into that red just a little bit, maybe makes a little bit of a brown, but I'm not worried because the whole point was I was making a fall background. And I'm just going to keep working the Conair curling brush without the curling brush, just the hot air, which isn't very hot. It isn't hot at all, actually. It didn't burn. It wasn't making my paper warm. It wasn't anything like that. It's very crazy to me. It's interesting. But I'm really impressed with this tool. So when I'm happy with it, which I'm just, like I said, just going to keep moving this around. There it is. I'll show it to you. I'm so happy with that. I love how those colors work together, and I can't even say enough about that tool, so obviously I'll keep using it. I did decide to bring in some gold foil, and normally I'm not very successful with this, but I guess I let it sit just long enough to be tacky. And all I'm doing is sticking my foil over the top of those thicker parts that look like they're kind of wet, and it's grabbing that foil. Now you can't do this, or at least I haven't been successful using alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. This really only works with the blending solution, and I think it's because of the resin that's in the blending solution. It grabs onto that resin, and that's how you're able to get that foiling on top of your alcohol ink backgrounds. But yeah, you only have a little window to do it, and I'll just keep doing that until I'm happy, and then I'll show you how it looks. This background was definitely one of my favorites. Oh, I could play with alcohol inks all day. All right, now we're going to do some very simple Copic coloring. These images I went ahead and stamped out using my Memento Tuxedo black ink onto some Express It cardstock, and they are from Fawn. This is an older set called Jump for Joy. It's just one of my favorites. I love fall sets. I tend to hoard them a little bit. Of course, if you looked at my craft room, you'd think I hoarded everything. But I definitely hoard fall sets because fall is my favorite time of year. So I have just been so excited to make tons of fall cards, Halloween cards, you name it. I'm here for it all. And I'm putting the colors up on the screen for you, but it's very simple. We're only using a 2-color blend for all of these leaves, and I have no rhyme or reason to where I'm putting my shadowing or even which colors I'm putting where. I basically just chose colors that would match the alcohol inks that I had pulled out, and that's why we have what we have. We'll move on to more of an orange. So we've got E08, and in case you hadn't noticed, I tend to go old school when it comes to coloring with any alcohol markers. I tend to go lightest to darkest, so that's why I put down my lightest color, and then I'll bring in my darkest color. Sometimes I will then bring in that lighter color and blend that out, but if it doesn't seem like it really needs it, I may not. So here we have some R39, I'll bring in some R89, and then I will bring in that R39 once again just to blend those colors a little bit. Our hedgehog's going to be interesting. I put down some C1, I meant to put down W1, so we're just going to cover that up. And it kind of gives that cool illusion that the cool color underneath is popping through, but now we'll bring in some C3 is what I want. So I'm going to just use some C3. It kind of cools down the edges, and then I'll bring in my W4 to make it look like he has little quills. For his body, we're using E31, and then I do go very dramatic and dark with our next color, which is E99. And it's dark and it's dramatic, but you can blend that. So because everything's still fairly wet or damp or whatever you want to call it, I'm just blending those edges. And he looks pretty cute. So our next step would be to bring in the matching dies and tack those down. If you don't have those, fussy cutting is super easy for something like this as well. But I'll just tack that down with a little bit of mint tape and then run this through my die cutting machine. And that's the only stamping I'm going to, well, other than sentiments, that's it. So I'm going to bring in So Grateful. We'll stamp that on the scrap paper there. And then I'll bring in my guillotine trimmer and just trim this down. I always tend to need lots of thank you cards this time of year. Well, lots of thank you cards in general. But we're going to go ahead and glue a circle. I went ahead and die cut a circle out, and we're going to stick that on our background. I'm not going to lie, it was hard for me to cover any of this background. I'll put some foam tape on the back of my images, and I did use a little bit of E81 just to give a little shadowing under the leaves. And I found that I put too much foam tape because I want him to look like he's actually on top of the leaves, like he's just jumping in. So I'll take some of that off, and then we'll use our liquid glue to put down the So Thankful. I put the little dots on there with my pen because I wanted it to look like there is more to do in the inside of the card, which there is. I'm going to stamp the other part of the sentiment on the inside of our card base. This is an A2 size card base for an A2 size card. And we'll stamp our sentiment on the inside that says, "For your kindness." Now I'll use that liquid glue and adhere down the front, our panel to our card base, and then that's really going to do it. I don't add anything else. We got plenty of bling on there. And I'm so happy. I would love to know what you think of this card. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And big thank you for all the support you guys give. You guys are incredible. And I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.